Hello everybody, welcome to my channel again, and I have an amazing legendary artist. He's a Greek American artist, a friend of mine I met in 2018. Hey, it's Jon Sideriadis. He is a great creator of the Astromythos book series. He's also an author, writer, and a professor. He's even got the glasses on. He's like Professor X from X-Men. Just he's got lots of hair instead. He's not bald. He's met him in 2018 at IluxCon. He was in the main show exhibiting his work. His work is very unique. We'll have picture. You can see the pictures up here that we have for you in this final edit. But he has a beautiful style. It's kind of like sci-fi meets fantasy. Astromythos. It's just epic. Welcome, Jon. Welcome to my channel.
Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming on.
Hello, everyone.
So tell me a little bit about your universe, Astromythos. I was like, when I saw your paintings, I saw this epic artwork, and then I was like, wow, there's going to be what's this all about? You know, obviously you've written books, you're doing other things with it. It's just epic art. Like, tell me a bit about what you're doing. Yeah, so.
Glad you like it.
I love it.
It's just, something I've been working on since the year 2000, because I wasn't really finding much work as a freelance artist at the time. And I decided, hey, what if I make something really great, hopefully one day, then maybe I'll get the freelance work that I want, that I'm not getting now. So I I built this astromythic universe. That's the subgenre for Astromythos. It's a genre of sci-fi fantasy, and it's more or less a dark cosmic fantasy. Right. So it's dark fantasy mixed with space, but it's medieval technology, medieval setting. So it recalls things like D&D Spelljammer and He-Man. You can see Castle Grayskull back there in my my Zoom room here.
Yeah.
And the things I grew up with, like Thundercats and Nintendo and Final Fantasy, and but it's written as an epic poem in the tradition of Homer and the Iliad and the Odyssey, with rhyming heroic verse. Not a lot of people like reading that, so I kept getting requests for RPG version. So what I did was I wrote that, of course, in prose, and I put together with a great editor, Critical Crafting. Dylan is the creator. I put together something called Lair of the Spider Lord, which is based on book 1 and book 2, which is soon to come out as well.
Yep.
And it's a full 5th edition compatible adventure.
Oh wow! So you've gone down the kind of the RPG book avenue as well, because as you know, I've got Luminous Ages in my comics, and we did the Byzane Book of Monsters. So you've now converted. You've got
that, and your card game too.
Yeah, and a card game. Done too many things, but
that's really cool.
Yeah, thanks, man. But you've gone in and adapted it as an RPG book as well. So that's coming. Well, this will be live by the time it's on Kickstarter. But you've actually gone in the process of work with another creator. I've done the same. I've got a local writer called Tim Forbes. He's a dungeon master, and he runs multiple campaigns and so I mean, how did that go? That process of working with someone, obviously you trusted this guy. It was fun. You're a D&D player yourself, so you kind of you still had some input in that, didn't you? Or is that right? Or
I basically, you need the editor for the stat blocks, more or less.
Yes, same.
He was able to actually add to the story too, so I added him as an additional writer. But I more or less just wrote the whole thing. I did what I could with the stat blocks, because I do DMing, and I play, and I love DMing the game.
Yeah, that's great.
And he just fine-tuned everything, made everything completely balanced. He even has all these flow charts, and it's really amazing the work that goes into stat blocks. It's an incredible challenge if you're trying to make it precisely calculated and balanced for a game for publication.
Yeah.
So he was able to do all of that. He's brilliant editor.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And it was fun to work with him because we got along really well, and we just, it was like talking to one of my friends.
Yeah.
Like you.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, man. That's awesome. Yeah, no, we actually tested it ours like over three gaming groups, so and even like people that we didn't even meet, so to get that kind of objective point of view and what was wrong or with monsters or make them better or how can we make this more balanced then. So and we even gave it to different people to test as well that we didn't even know. We didn't even play with them. They just did it and they came back with it to us with feedback. It's about a year of Dungeons and Dragons. So
Jeez.
yeah,
Oh
yeah, but
boy.
it was fun as well. So as you said, when you're doing it with people that are like friends or they're colleagues but they're friends, it makes it a lot more easier, I think. So you know, obviously you've got a lot of things you love, John. You love DMing, you love art, you love writing, you love teaching. You've got all these passions, and you're doing so much for the community from where you are with your art, like the knowledge that you're passing on to people, which is amazing. What is it like? Obviously it's probably a hard question to ask, but is there something particularly you love about your art making process? Is it just the art? Is it the writing? What do you love the most? Is there something that really drives you more,
Um,
or is it
I
hard to
just
say?
love making my own worlds and telling my stories and really inspiring people. I just hope that my work inspires people,
Yeah,
even if they don't get it or they don't know why they like it. If it inspires them, then that's one of the greatest rewards. It's kind of like teaching. Teaching is a very rewarding profession because you're able to help young people succeed and follow their dreams, right?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
So I think that's one of my favorite things to do is just sit down and paint like a sword. Just I always wanted to do that when I was a kid.
yeah.
When I was, playing games like Hero Quest and
Uh,
D&D and
gotta
Settler with my
love
with
Hero
my
Quest.
friend.
I love Hero Quest.
I grew up with Hero Quest. It's
Same.
this layer of the Spider Lord is there's a lot of like undertones of Hero Quest in there. It's I grew up with it,
Cool.
so for people who love Hero Quest, it's definitely the game for you. Definitely
I'm
the game.
buying the
So,
book, man. I'll have my first big Comic Con for the year, so I'll be cashed up. I'll be one of the first backers. So,
thank you. I appreciate it.
when does it go live? Like this project? Because I'm so excited
So
for it.
it goes live on March 14th, which is less than a week from now.
Yep, yep.
Um,
And then it ends like April 14th. Did you say? Or
and it ends about April 12th,
oh,
April
that's
12th
all
or
right.
13th.
We'll get you in. Don't worry. Don't worry. So I'll definitely get in and be bagging. So you
Okay.
talked about like Hero Quest. You talked about He-Man. You talked about all these amazing franchises which I grew up with because we're the same generation, you and me. So what is your biggest influence, like artists, or if there's something in pop culture that's influenced you? If there's like maybe I won't say one thing, like is it two or three things that like kind of not made you an artist or made you want to be an artist? You know what I mean? So
If I love talking about Star Wars and He-Man and things, but
yeah.
if I were to get into art history and my older influences, I would say Da Vinci. He's my favorite artist
Oh yeah.
because he was that jack of all trades. Jan Bauer, the Swedish illustrator of the Trolls
Yeah,
that would
beautiful.
later inspired, Brian and Wendy Froud. Love his work. He's my favorite illustrator. Arthur Rackham, Greek Byzantine art. I grew up with that in the church, of course, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And ancient Greek poetry, ancient Greek theater, um, literature like Dickens and Shakespeare and Spencer and
I can
um,
see this in your work. I can see all these things. Like when I read Astromythos and I was looking at all the artwork, I could definitely see all this coming into it. The Shakespearean, the Homer stuff, the Greek. Like I definitely felt that in the book, and I love the whole book. So it's great, man. I can see it all. So yeah, brilliant.
and of course physics and astronomy.
Yeah, of course.
Mythology and astronomy. That's why it's called Astromythos. Those are some of my favorite
Yeah.
things.
And how have you grown your audience? Like you did a really good Kickstarter. The first book was really good. I know you went with a publisher, like you had someone guiding the project. So
Mhm.
how did you grow your audience? Obviously, I know you from IluxCon. You probably do other cons across uh, America. Oh, and I forgot to mention, you're also a GenCon award-winning artist. You won an award with GenCon, is that right? Yeah. So you won
Best in
illustration.
Show. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome.
2019 Best in Show.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So, tell me more. Like, how have you grown your fan base? Like getting the people on your email, all that sort of stuff. How have you done that, or What's the best thing for you?
That's a tough question, but I can
Yeah.
answer it.
Yeah, it's all right.
I
So,
really just, uh, after grad school, and my thesis was the plan to publish the book. I
mhm.
had like 9 good and oil paintings, and I brought those around to the really small shows where there were no people. I had like 3 different prints, just a couple prints, couple paintings, a tiny table, one chair, and in Connecticut, where I live, in the U.S. And people really started responding to my work, and gallery owners would come by and say, "Hey, you want to show in our gallery? You want to show in our gallery?" And then I went to University of Connecticut, and I showed there in their big library, and then I joined a guild, the Western Massachusetts Illustrators Guild, mostly children's book and fantasy artists who work
Yeah,
for Wizards of the Coast.
yeah, yeah,
And then I met them, and then they talked to me about GenCon, and they talked to me about IluxCon, and then DragonCon, and they opened my eyes to these bigger conventions, FairyCon for the Frauds in Maryland, and that was the first big one I went to, and then I was able to start entering and being accepted into the giant shows like GenCon,
yeah, for sure.
and it just snowballed from there.
Yeah.
But I've been keeping, to answer your question, I brought a mailing list with me everywhere I went for 10 years. And
Oh
by the
wow.
time I was done and ready to do my, publish my book, I had 600 people on my mailing list from 10 years of, bringing around this little clipboard to these tiny shows and into the big shows. And then everyone responded really positively,
Yeah.
and they're really supportive, and they were able to back it.
I actually saw that clipboard at IluxCon, and I don't know if I forgot to put my
Yeah.
email name and email down, but I've got to join your mailing list because I just like seeing your art, and it's like, sometimes you get I'm on a few artist mailing lists, and I've back Kickstarters and all that, but it's like it's good getting inspiration through email because social media is so cluttered with ads now. Social media, Facebook used to be great where you could just go on and see amazing work, but sometimes you don't see it because there's so much other stuff on there, interfering like adverts or other people's posts or people complaining about life or, the last few years it's been COVID and all that sort of stuff. I'm just like, I just want the joy to come back. So, but I definitely got to jump on that newsletter. So, that's great, man. Like, I think a similar experience to you. I've done a lot of cons. I started with a little show in Melbourne. I'm from Adelaide, and then I kind of went and did. The people told me about Supernova in Australia. Then told me about Comic Con, and then they said about PAX in Australia. And then I did New Zealand shows. I went to New Zealand as well. They got shows there called Armageddon. So yeah, they're really cool, epic shows in New Zealand. I really recommend going there as well for your work because I think you'd find there's a huge fantasy audience there in New Zealand. They just love fantasy art. Obviously with Weta being there, so Wellington Armageddon and Auckland Armageddon are both awesome. But yeah, I did a similar thing, just kind of like growing through a newsletter, doing conventions, doing the slow kind of grow, nothing viral on the internet and all that. So we're the old G's, aren't we? The OGs. So
Yeah, trying to stand out, that's all.
yeah, that's it.
There's so many artists out there.
Well, I think it's more like, it's just what we're doing is like a trial and proven method. It's an old school way of doing an art show, doing some sort of show, having your newsletter there, letting people that really engage with your stuff sign up, even if it's 5 or 10 people or 30 people, whatever it is, it all builds up over time. And like a lot of people, look, it's great if you can have overnight success. Some people have that success, and I'm still trying for overnight success. It's been 12 years, but you know, I think
That'd
it's
be nice, yeah.
I think it's a matter of like it takes time. You know what I mean? To get that, it's something that you got to build up. And then what I'm teaching on this channel is like, and like talking to people like you is that your great success hasn't come overnight. It's been over 10 years or whatever, 20 years of study, hard work, and applying yourself. And these are proven methods. This is the point. This is a proven method. Get out there, do shows, build your mailing list, and you're going to get success. You're going to get real people backing you. So, yeah, so that answers that. I think, I think we've answered the next question. So how can someone grow their audience? That was the question, and I think like we've answered that already. It's like, you know,
It's new now. It's all social media now. I started, and yeah, of course you did before social media,
yeah,
right?
of course, yeah,
And
yeah,
we
yeah,
did the newsletter, we did the postcards and the calls, and now it's all social media, videos, TikTok, Instagram,
yeah.
um, trending songs coupled with your videos,
That's it.
and that's a good way to grow an audience too.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, and I
Need to
think
get out there.
I think it's just I'm still figuring it out. Like I do have a decent Facebook group. Like I have about 3,000 people on my Facebook, 2,000, 3,000 people on Instagram following me, and that's my hardcore fans really supporting me. But you know, it's important to grow that stuff, and this is something I'm learning more and more about and getting people to help with. And you know, I mean, have you found that any sort of social medias like I see you on Facebook painting a lot, but is there any social media you use a lot more, or you find anything that's growing at the moment, or are you just using everything?
Um, I have a Twitter account and a couple others, but I mostly use Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, yeah,
And on YouTube, I have a YouTube channel, and I have a lot of videos that I recorded as a teacher for demos, especially during COVID when I had to pre-record everything. That was
yeah,
tough.
yeah,
And then, talk over it during class time on Zoom.
yeah,
So all of those are on YouTube. And
yeah,
I actually got a lot of responses and a lot of likes and followers and subscribers through that too.
yeah,
And post my campaign videos on there.
yeah.
And
Cool.
I'm thinking of starting a Patreon too. That's a good way to get more followers because I want to create a world building academy.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Because I'm going to part-time teaching next year, so I can spend more time. Hasbro just hired me, so
Oh
I want to
wow.
spend more time, working for them and working on different RPG games
Oh wow.
for different companies like Goodman Games. And,
Did you get
yeah.
so can you say what you're doing for Hasbro, or is that still under wraps? Under wraps?
Just tabletop game
Yeah.
related work.
Yeah.
I can't say what it is.
Congratulations, man. That's great.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, wow. Um, yeah, so tell me more, anything else about Astromythos, or is there a character that you really enjoyed making, or that really kind of, fires you up, or, yeah, tell me more about your universe, so that people might like
Right.
to know, especially with the new Spider Lair book.
The Spider Lord. So the Spider Lord book is mostly based on book two. The Spider Lords are smaller versions of the Spider Stars in book one. So they're more like the earth-dwelling creatures that look like the creation myth story monsters in book one. Book one's a creation story. So
Yeah,
it's a story about the first stars and how their children are created and all the different mythological moments and stories and wars and um, conflicts and things and love stories that are involved in a creation myth, but a fully original story, of course.
yeah.
And there are spider stars, which when they die, they become black holes,
Oh,
and they swallow other stars or black holes to become bigger. There's a Lord of Black Holes. There's a story about the first comet and her interaction with the Earth.
hmm.
She smashes into the Earth. It's a love story, and she becomes the moon. And then there's a story of the first red giant. So in Astromythos, the red giant looks like a giant in mythology, and the brown dwarf or the yellow dwarf, which is what our sun is, it looks like a dwarf.
Hmm.
So I'm taking the names of stars and mythologizing it and making it a fantasy story,
Awesome.
fantasy genre. So that's the basis. That's the book one, the basis of the series, and then book two introduces humans, and they're fighting with the stars against the photogores and against outside forces like the Lord of Stellar Winds, who destroys the Earth, and um, so it's this very epic story, which has it reads in a very epic way. It's an epic poem, literally.
Yeah.
So and
So,
it's like you're reading the Odyssey, but it's newer and it flows better and it rhymes. So it's a little easier to read. Not to compare myself to Homer, which would be a little audacious of me, but that's the general idea. Some of my favorite characters are just, I don't know, there's so many characters. Kuros in book two is one of my favorites. He's half star, half human. And his sister, Halka, is the first astronomer. She's She has this pine castle in the middle of a crater on the Earth-like planet that is only revealed when it snows.
Oh wow.
So there's all sorts of things that are in book 2 that you can also discover in the greater world and campaign setting of Lair the Spider-Lord,
Wow.
and actually play and live in the world
That's
as any
awesome.
character, as an orc, as an elf, as a human, anything in 5e.
Yeah, wow. That's awesome.
So
So with that, obviously, let's say I've got my own bard or my own paladin that I play or whatever. I verse your gods, like your characters, these big characters like these black hole spiders or whatever. Are these like bosses, or are they enemies, or are they friends, or both? Like, how does that work? Like, I've got my own paladin I'm bringing in from another campaign. We say open another portal and we enter your world. What happens? Do I die
right.
straight away? Is it like Dark Souls? Do I die?
Luckily, you don't, because you end up in a safe place. You end up in a
Ah, okay.
civilized place of the part of the world, a city called Nephos, which
Oh,
is
nice.
run by the Pantocrator King. He's the painting with the big sword
Yes,
that I usually bring
yes,
to every one of
yes.
my shows, the cover of
Yeah,
the second book.
yeah. He's great.
Um, he gives you the quest.
Ah,
So he calls the greatest champions, the greatest heroes from, whatever campaign you're already playing, whatever world that was,
yeah.
to the world of Zos in Astromythos. And he sends you off to find this space dwarf called Doulos. And he says that he's the key to restoring the kingdom, which was just destroyed by the stars because humans challenged the stars and were defeated.
Oh, wow.
So you're trying to save humans, but then you realize that they're tricking you, and they're trying to, destroy the universe. So you discover that, it's kind of a spoiler, but you
That's
discover
all right.
that you're supposed to side with the stars in order to end corruption and kill the Photovores who are corrupting mankind as these giant spider stars in space. And that's
Yeah,
why they send the Spider Lords down to Earth, which are these human-sized spiders, to, control mankind.
yeah.
And you're supposed to slay them to save the planet.
Awesome. That sounds cool. That sounds like an epic quest. So,
So you actually fight one of the Spider Lords that's transforming into a giant Photovore star by sucking the life out of the sun.
oh wow. So
So
that would be like what, level 10, level 20 boss or something, or or I don't want to spoil it for people.
it's
Bit,
like, yeah, it's a little bit of a spoiler, but it's a level 10 to 15 campaign. So it's pretty
oh
high level
wow.
boss.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Challenge level is very high.
Yeah.
She's enormous too. The mini is going to be about like this big.
Oh wow. Are you releasing
Gargantuan.
Are you going to be releasing minis with it on the launch or not? Or
I think there's about 5 or 6 minis,
oh nice.
one included in the pledge, and then the rest are stretch goals.
All right. So
So the boss and
are you sending out STL files, or are they like actual minis that you can buy? How are you making the minis? Are you making it overseas or making it locally? How does that all work? So
so
I
I
want to get
partnered with.
some.
That's tricky. I partnered with Hit Point Press, and they were able to produce the Spider Lord in Polycephalos, which is this living asteroid monster with 2 heads that you encounter in the world. And then I'm working with another sculptor who's going to sculpt them, and then Hit Point Press and I are going to manufacture them.
Yeah.
So, and if for those of you who aren't familiar, Hit Point Press is the creator of Humblewood. They were formerly
Yes.
known as Duck of Many, and they're putting out this awesome new Big Bad series pretty soon too, in
Yeah.
March. So, yeah, it was tricky, but they're going to be, to answer your question, sold as miniatures, physical copies, and STLs with
Right.
every
Gotcha.
pledge tier or
Yeah.
reward level.
Cool. Nice. And so with I'll probably get the physical one. So that sounds really cool. So that sounds intense. So you're working with a sculptor. They're helping you, like they're bringing your vision to life. So that would be a bit of a, I suppose, a challenge, or the sculptor, you know them very well, or how does that work? So
Um, I speak to the owner of Hit Point Press,
yeah.
the creator, and he's sort of the middleman. So he speaks to the 3D modelers, and then he relays the information to me.
Cool.
But that's for the first 2 minis. For the stretch goals, I'm speaking directly through ArtStation and Discord,
Yeah.
which is a lot easier, to my 3D sculptor
Yeah.
that I found through Dylan of Critical Crafting, my editor.
Yeah.
The sculptor's name's Joshua, and it's really relaxed and laid back, and yeah, So
Awesome.
we're going to take those STLs and manufacture them all in the same place. So it's fulfillment's easier.
Cool. So are you manufacturing in America or overseas, or how do you how do you juggle all that as well? They
Um,
do Hit Point Press does that all for you, or
well, I'm doing everything. Hip Point Press is just promoting and doing the minis.
yeah,
I'm self-publishing, and so eStar is my manufacturer in China,
yep,
and they're able to distribute it to Oakland, California, and
yep,
to various parts. It's an international campaign,
yep,
except for the framed original paintings that I'm selling in the pledge tiers.
yep,
So it's pretty easy to work with the manufacturer over there. I was referred to them by Hip Point Press because they
yep,
work with eStar. eStar makes a lot of games that I own, so I already know the quality is top notch, and the
yep,
prices are really reasonable.
yep.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. No, that's cool. Well, thank you so much. That I think we've got a few minutes left, but like all that advice is amazing. You've achieved amazing things. I can't. Oh, obviously this will go live as we're midway through the campaign, so it might help boost more people to your thing, but to your Kickstarter, I'm definitely going to be there backing. I know my DM or my writer, my editor, my technical writer will be on this as well. He loves this sort of stuff because he
I
loves it.
appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah, I can't wait, and we'll be sharing it. But I like to finish off the interview with gratitude. What are you most grateful for today, this week, or whatever? Is there something that like it's just a positive thing, yeah, anything that you can be grateful for this week. I know, I know sometimes that can be hard when you're really busy to think about, but yeah, anything at all.
Well, I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful for your support and that you had the time to talk to me.
Oh no, man, it's all good. No, it's all good. I feel
And
I'm very very appreciative. So likewise. So yeah,
I wish I could make it out there. I've always wanted to go to Australia, New Zealand.
yeah.
Um, Closest I'm going to get this summer is Scotland for my
Okay.
honeymoon.
Ah, congratulations with that as well. That's
And
fantastic.
yeah, finally tying the knot soon
Yeah.
in June. So I'm really happy about that. Really grateful about that. And I have my health. I went to the doctor today. I have only a collapsed disc
Only
in my neck,
collapsed disc.
which
Okay.
could be much worse
Yeah.
due to my overworking and
Yeah.
just like nonstop every day without a day off, trying to get the Lair of the Spider Lord done. That's the reality of these projects. And
It is.
I'm just happy to, just talk to you and share my work with the world. And that Kickstarter accepted my project because it's my second Kickstarter, and I hope it goes well.
It will, man. I've got faith in you, and I think there's a lot of people that really love your work, self included. So I think, I'm going to be advertising it everywhere, letting people know about it. So yeah. And look, man, if you come to Australia, if you come down to Adelaide, if you come to Australia, let me know. I'll come to meet you. But you're always welcome at my place. You got the Greek hospitality at my house in Adelaide in South Australia. There's a lot of art stuff happening in Australia, so it's very a creative place in Adelaide. We've got like Festival of the Arts, we have Fringe, we have all these amazing things. We have Sala, which is South Australian Living Artists. I'll be exhibiting that. I haven't announced yet, but I might be, well,
Oh,
highly
okay.
likely exhibiting a whole series of dragons for Sala.
Jeez,
So yeah,
that's
busy, busy.
nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. So look,
I'd love
man.
to see that.
I will
Fingers
look.
crossed one day.
One day, man, you're always welcome. So the big
We'll
vision
be
for, yeah. Sorry, what we're saying?
we'll be cooking keftedes in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's it. I'll have to have the vegan ones, but I'll make sure there's meat ones for you. All right. So.
All right, we'll make something else.
No, 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 no. We actually can do vegan keftedes. I can actually make them.
I would
So,
try that.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
I love vegan food. My
But,
friend's vegan
uh,
back at home here.
oh yeah, no worries. But look, if you want meat as
Yeah.
well, my mum can cook you some meat ones too. So she's like old school Greek, So,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All
I
good,
can
man.
relate.
All good. So, well, thank you very much again for coming on, and I wish you all the success, and I'm sure you will be succeeding. I definitely can feel it in my bones. I think you definitely are deserving of all the success, and you work so hard. Everyone, check it out. If you're on my channel, you're watching this, the link is going to be down below on YouTube. You'll be able to click on it, back it, throw some love and support on that. I'll be sharing it to my By Zay audience as well. We made about 55 STLs. So those fans
Oh,
that love
jeez.
STLs will love this as well.
That's great.
Yeah, so it's epic stuff, and yeah, support Jon. Thanks again for coming on, man. I really appreciate you. Your work is awesome. I can't talk highly enough about you. You're like the Greek American version of me, but like the professor version. You're me if I finish my PhD. So,
I wish
so
I could give you a real high five.
that's it.
I
That's
agree.
it.
Likewise. I
All
wish,
good.
we were closer together. But
Uh,
one day we'll be in a show again together and it'll be great.
Look, man, I
Uh,
definitely want to get back to IluxCon and a GenCon in the next couple of years. I'm just working towards it. It's quite expensive going from Australia to America, the cost of shipping and also just shipping myself, flying over there and all that sort of stuff is quite costly. So, yeah, but we'll get there one day. So, thank you very
yeah.
much.
If you ever need to stay with me, let me know.
Yeah, yeah, all good, man. All good. No problem. Thank you very much. Cheers. Have a good one.